Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 142 days away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. That is all set and ready to end the sequel trilogy and the Skywalker saga itself. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really exciting about Episode 9 is that we do know that this film is going to introduce tons of new revelations that will change how we view The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, as well as the entire Skywalker saga and even the franchise itself, which really could very well be a big risk by Disney and Lucasfilm, as well as George Lucas. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this movie, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting of a specific moment in the second act of the film that'll change how we view a specific scene in The Last Jedi. Now, specifically, it's described that shot descriptions consisting of course, a moment between both Rey and Luke Skywalker, where they are sitting in front of each other within the Prime Jedi Temple, where it's explained that Luke's Force Ghost is telling a tale of his past to Rey that is said to change how fans view a certain scene in The Last Jedi. It's explained that Luke reveals to Rey about the moment he tried to destroy his nephew during his sleep after sensing the darkness within him, where it's said that just as Luke was going to kill Ben Solo, it said that Luke Skywalker tells Rey his father Anakin Skywalker reached out to him to shift him away from the darkness and from making a terrible mistake, where it's established that this is the reason why Luke pulled away from his actions, was by hearing the Force Ghost voice of his father Anakin, warning him of the consequences if he went through with killing Ben Solo, his own nephew. Though Luke actually does indeed reassure Rey that there was still a consequence on Ben's part, as well as Luke's part, as well as he retreated to the island of Ahch-To for quite some time to put the Jedi way to the side. However, Luke assures Rey that if it weren't for his father Anakin, he would have fallen to the dark side of the Force, and that while he was going through that rage, he felt a dark presence manipulating his mind to do that terrible act. So let's go over a couple of parts about this, because this, without a doubt, changes how we view that scene that is so controversial, right, in The Last Jedi. A lot of fans had issues with the film of Luke attempting to destroy and kill his own nephew, Ben Solo of all people, his own family member, right? Now, the fact that that was done by Rian Johnson, a lot of people did not agree with Luke's act and Rian Johnson's vision of Luke in that specific moment. So in this scenario, it's the Force Ghost of Luke Skywalker talking to Rey within the Prime Jedi Temple about that terrible act that he almost completed, but if it weren't for the voice of Anakin Skywalker, his Force Ghost, if you will, and his guidance, is that he would have actually turned to the dark side of the Force. So, when we look at The Last Jedi now, it's going to be established in The Rise of Skywalker that moment in which Luke ignites his green lightsaber and doesn't strike, it's not just because Ben Solo woke up and he saw the eyes of a frightened boy, but it's also because he heard the voice of his own father, telling him about those consequences. And not just that, as Luke was doing this, it's described that he actually recalls a dark and sinister presence manipulating his mind in order to do this terrible act against his own nephew, Ben Solo. So what I find so incredible about this is that this seems like this is JJ's way of undoing the controversy of that scene in The Last Jedi. Now, I would really love to hear, your input on this, what you think about this, because we do know that Anakin, at the end of the day, is indeed the true face of the Star Wars franchise. He is the man who ultimately becomes Darth Vader, who is ultimately redeemed by destroying Palpatine once and for all, and coming back as Anakin Skywalker and saving his own son Luke to have a future, to rebuild the Jedi Order, and to really pass on his knowledge. So, at the end of the day, Anakin really is a very valuable character in the Skywalker saga that's really going to be, I guess you could say, honored in this film to a certain level by JJ and George. Now, to that extent, we do know that Rian Johnson, he went through a lot of different decisions with this movie. A lot of people did not agree with them, including myself. Now, with The Rise of Skywalker, it really seems like a lot of things that were pretty much put in The Last Jedi are being undone to a certain level through a certain perspective, right? Now, with that being said, We also know that this film is going to be very heavy on Jedi, Sith, and Force lore, and the Prime Jedi Temple is of something of great interest, I think, because we only got a glimpse of the Prime Jedi Mosaic, which was in the first Jedi Temple in The Last Jedi. You guys may have very well seen it. It's that flat little symbol that Luke sits on next to Rey when they're talking to each other during sunset. Very interesting side, I will say. I cannot wait to learn more about the Prime Jedi and more about that character and his legacy from so many years ago, over 1,000 years ago, most likely we're talking here. So this film has a lot going for itself and really has the opportunity to mark itself down as the best of the current trilogy, that of course being the sequel trilogy. Anyways guys, drop a comment below, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear them moans again.